During The Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 5, Ahsoka mentions that Grogu's memory grows dark and faint after he was hidden at the end of the Clone Wars, aka Order 66. He was raised at the Jedi Temple on Coruscant. Many masters trained him over the years. At the end of the Clone Wars, he was hidden. Someone took him from the temple, then his memory becomes dark. Now, before we begin, we could say, well, some Jedi took him and mind-wiped him to keep him safe so he didn't know how to use the Force anymore. To that I say, maybe. But I'm tired of playing devil's advocate on my own theories, so I want to explain my Palpatine theory and you can decide if it makes sense or not at the end. So my next theory here, after the Anakin one I did recently, is that perhaps Sidious took him. This would make sense since Sidious was at the Jedi Temple after Anakin raided it with the 501st. You might be confused. Well, a lot of people miss this detail, but we can actually see Sidious in the Jedi Temple as Anakin kneels before him, calling him his master. Obi-Wan is watching the security recordings from the temple when this happens. If this was in Palpatine's office, which is not in the temple, then it wouldn't make sense for Kenobi to be able to see this. Here's an excerpt from the Revenge of the Sith novel that will give context for how Palpatine could have taken Grogu, as Anakin will leave and Sidious will be in the temple without him. You'll see. And mind you, this is starting when Obi-Wan is witnessing Anakin killing the Jedi during the hologram. And I should mention also that the book is a lot more descriptive of the things Anakin does to the Jedi with the 501st. Then the caped man turned to meet a cloaked figure behind him. He was Obi-Wan, staring, wished he had the strength to rip his eyes out of his head. But even blind, he would see this forever. He would see his friend, his student, his brother, turn and kneel in front of a black-cloaked Lord of the Sith. His head rang with a silent scream. "The traitors have been destroyed, Lord Sidious, and the archives are secured. Our ancient holocrons are again in the hands of the Sith."
Good, good. Together, we shall master every secret of the Force.
The Sith Lord purred like a contented rancor.
You have done well, my new apprentice. Do you feel your power growing?
Yes, my master.
Lord Vader, your skills are unmatched by any Sith before you. Go forth, my boy. Go forth and bring peace to our empire.
That's from Matthew Stover's Revenge of the Sith, Star Wars Episode 3, page 407 to 408 by Random House Publishing Group. Sidious sends Anakin away to Mustafar, as we can see. This is right before Anakin goes to stop by at Padme's place before blasting off to Mustafar to officially end the Clone Wars by having Newt Gunray deactivate all the droids across the galaxy. So when Anakin is here with Padme, Sidious is at the temple. And it's this time gap that I'm thinking, where we never see, could allow Sidious to search for any hiding Jedi who survived. Palpatine, perhaps, senses Grogu. Now, how does he know about Grogu? Well, my answer is Dooku. Dooku was a Jedi Master who left the temple after decades of being there since he was a small boy. And who is old enough to know Dooku? Possibly to even be trained by him? Grogu. Palpatine was always mulling over the idea of a new apprentice, and in the Revenge of the Sith novel, the plan was for Dooku and Anakin to be alive and serve him. To which, of course, we know what happened there with Dooku. Poor guy. I believe Dooku would have told Sidious all about Grogu and how he was immensely powerful, just like his father, Yoda, if that is his father at all, and I'm just saying that to make the story more dramatic. Sidious had a personal vendetta against Yoda, so to take his child would be sweeter than killing him. Imagine turning his son into a Sith Lord, or harvesting Yoda's genes and Force powers for his own twisted Frankenstein abominations. Operation Resurrection, perhaps. Palpatine wouldn't go after just any Force user. Remember, he needed a being with very high midichlorians in their blood, a high M count. Anakin shaved some of his power off once he lost to Obi-Wan, and this is what George Lucas has always said, that Darth Vader only became 80% as powerful as the Emperor once he lost on Mustafar. Grogu is around the same age as Anakin, so he would have been about 20 years old during Revenge of the Sith, and his Force powers were far more powerful than what we see in The Mandalorian. He had to subdue his powers as to not be found by the Empire. Now, whether he subdued them himself or someone turned his memory dark so that he wouldn't remember how to use his powers, I don't know. I guess we'll find out. So what I'm thinking is, he was found and taken from the temple by Sidious and maybe sent to Kamino to be an experiment and to learn from. And there, during the next 35 or so years until we see him in the Mando, he perhaps escaped. and then came under the custody of the remnants of the Empire. Now, Sidious's clone in Episode 9 looks to be about 30 years old here. Rey was born in 15 ABY. That's 5 years after the Mandalorian, just about. So this would mean if he was put on Jakku around the age of maybe 6, meaning 21 ABY, then Palpatine's cloned son, Rey's dad, was born about 10 years after Revenge of the Sith. This means Sidious was trying to clone himself for quite some time and trying to experiment with different ways to put the Force inside a new body. This could give life to my theory that Palpatine did indeed take Grogu from the temple. The only other option is that he traveled with a Jedi who survived and escaped, maybe like Ser Junda from Fallen Order, and the Inquisitors intercepted her, took the child, and put him in the possession of the Empire. Personally, I like the Palpatine theory. If he did take him, he'd just run tests on him as much as he could, perhaps keeping Grogu alive so that his body would grow, allowing the Empire to harvest more of his blood as it grew. Perhaps this is why they didn't just kill him off. They needed more of his blood, and they knew his blood had the perfect high M count, but there just wasn't enough of it for more trials, so they need him to get bigger. They tried with other things as much as they could, I'm thinking, but they ultimately knew that if they killed the child, they wouldn't find any other entity with as high of a force power in their blood. This is why he couldn't just take any random Jedi and use them. This actually could be all plausible, or Grogu went wandering alone through the galaxy once the Empire was destroyed, only to be put into Gideon's control. I find that kind of hard to believe because Ahsoka says that his memory goes dark. Why would it go dark? Did someone wipe it clean? Did Sidious wipe it clean and just let him go free in the galaxy until he was found again? Or did a Jedi do that? What were they protecting? Information Grogu knew, or Grogu himself? So, did Palpatine take Grogu to train him or to drain his blood for his experiments in his search for immortality? And keep in mind, his master, Darth Plagueis, always said essence transfer was super lame. He said it wasn't true immortality. Anyways, let me know what you think. Thanks for watching this video and this theory. I'll see you in the next episode of Star Wars Theory. Until then, remember, my fellow Jedi and Sith friends, the Force will be with you always.